So if anybody does listens to this and knows the area, yeah, reach out. We can
Check it
talk
out.
motorcycles and maybe ride.
I love
And
that.
I get to experience it with some of my closest customers as well. So when you
Huh.
find somebody that likes plastics and tools and motorcycling, it's quite
What's
a
that? The
good friendship.
trifecta? Yeah, that's great. I mean, hey, MMT followers, Christina Fuges with MoldMaking Technology, and I am back for another quick MMT chat. My guest today is Adam Nartker, who is in business development for the Diversified Technologies International of Livonia, Michigan, and he is a newer MoldMaking Technology editorial advisory board member. So hi, Adam.
Hello, Christina and everyone.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Give people a little bit of a background as to your work history and your education within manufacturing, and then how you found mold making.
First off, I've been in plastic injection molding for 22 years now, and it's been absolutely wonderful. And I learn new things and new ideas day in, day out. And as a young person, in the late 90s, I was undecided when it came to schooling. And I tried going to university undecided, and eventually I needed to go to work. And I was fortunate to find my way into plastic injection molding, a custom molder. And it was very quick for me to realize that this was interesting. It was something that caught my attention, and I right away took a liking to it. And worked full time as a young 20-year-old entering the industry. But eventually, with some support of my managers and some good people around me, I did go back to school. I went part time to Sinclair Community College and got my management certificate. After doing that, I went into the business development roles in the industry. So that first half of my career was hands-on molding on the custom molding floor, setting up injection molds in the molding machines, programming the machines and processing and the robotics and maintenance and overall operation on the molding floor, which obviously you're working with tooling from day one when you enter that environment. Now, I'm not a journeyman tool maker, but I've been very lucky to work alongside a great deal of them and collaborate with mold designers and mold makers and business owners in the area that has helped me learn a great deal. And then with my second half of my career going into sales and business development, tooling was an area that really struck my attention because it was an area of plastics that I seemed to, and I'm a lifelong learner, so there was so much more for me to understand and learn, and it was exciting. So I decided to make the leap from in mold sensors and training to full on mold development at DTI, and it's been great.
That's awesome. That is a long, you look very youthful to be having that much experience within this industry.
I appreciate that. I think I have a little bit more gray hair, but I don't know if it's from work or my four daughters.
Yeah, don't say it's from work. I would say it's from the four daughters.
yeah, it's a combination, but it's all positive stuff.
That's true.
I'm very lucky. DTI is a expert in global tooling for injection molds and metal stamping dies. So we utilize our build partners in Asia, China, Korea, Vietnam, to build our tools 100% offshore and provide them to our customer base here in the United States. We do the full engineering, DFM, mold design, mold fabrication, process development, metrology, grooming, all offshore. And then we bring those tools in-house and support those at tool launch to ensure that they start up, as smoothly as possible and are approved as quickly as possible.
All right. So you say that DTI, they apply disciplined and a systematic approach to simulation iterations, to the mold process and design from the plastics point of view, right? It's all from the plastics point of view. So can you take us through that or give us an example of what actually that means?
Yeah, if you've been in the industry a long time, you've heard the term plastics point of view, and that's another way of saying scientific injection molding from the plastics
Yep.
point of view. Um, Understanding what the plastic is doing and designing tooling and processes around that understanding. It's very important for us to be disciplined and systematic with our process because we are building offshore. It's uh, it's an area that we have to be disciplined in because we have to reduce risk of that tool not performing when it arrives. And and by applying our approach, a scientific approach, we mitigate a lot of that risk of missing certain areas of that whole process of transferring a tool from one side of the world to the other, including how it was producing a quality part that you had approved. So, it starts with simulation, running mold flow on every tool we design and build. But setting those up in a manner that can be replicated in the real world. And that's where sometimes our team provides a good value is we're molders. We're mold designers, we're mold builders, but we're also molders. And so we kind of apply that understanding all throughout the process. And knowing that when that tool arrives, the customer's gonna have confidence in how to set up their press, what the results will be when they do that. And we strive for accuracy in that. So really at the end of the day, you're getting a quality tool that runs on time when you expect it to run and to the quality specs that you've predetermined are right. And so that's the nutshell of the scientific approach. Obviously, we could get into the process development side and so on and so forth, but it's all about documenting that and transferring that to the end customer transparently.
Yeah, it makes sense. That kind of leads into my next question, but you pretty much answered it. Was how, when you're working offshore, how do you ensure this quality that everybody talks about? Because there is a reputation, right, about overseas tooling. So you pretty much just answered that. It's all the technologies and processes that you employ within the team, within the company, to ensure that that quality is what's intended.
Yeah, we definitely pride ourselves in the people we have,
Yeah.
but it also quality tool will always reign supreme in my opinion. They speak for themselves, but quality tool arrives
Yeah.
and it does what you want it to do for as long as you want it to do it. But that starts with materials, that starts with QMS systems. And so we don't partner with just anybody, right? We partner with the folks that can satisfy those requirements that our U.S. customers are mandating, when it comes to ISO or TS or other certifications in quality, and then steel certs for every type of material we have, and who supplies it, and can we supply those? Absolutely. Do we open the doors for audits? Absolutely. Right. So we're not hiding anything, right? It's about transparency as well to ensure quality. And then of course you have to get some wins under your belt when you're talking about bringing on a new customer, a new supplier. So it's very important.
Trust and relationship, right?
To build that trust.
Yeah. That would happen regardless of where the tool's being built. Quite honestly, this industry is all about relationships and trust, improving that. So looking past, looking over all those 22 years, but particularly with DTI, what's like the number one lesson you've learned from your experience working with offshore tooling? Because there's probably a lot of misconceptions and myths too. So I'd be curious to know, what have you learned?
Well, early in my career, I was setting up tools that came from all around the world. It was just part of the way everything works. And I think it will continue to be a global business, a global industry. But a lot of what I've come to realize is it's not as risky as a lot of folks say it is. If you do follow a disciplined approach and you are bought in to that approach and following it closely. there's always a push to get things done faster, right? And sometimes I've seen where that gets prioritized over doing it right, and you end up spending more time and money later on. So, um, it's not as risky as I once thought it was, especially after getting some good projects completed under my 2.5 years with DTI. It's really highlighted that, hey, this works really well when you apply it.
What do you know in terms of the partners that that DTI uses? How much time is spent over there? Like, does DTI spend time over there?
Yes,
Okay.
I personally have not made my first trip
Okay.
yet. That was partly due to the pandemic and
Mm,
travel. But that's always on the radar for depending on projects, customer requirements, et cetera. So those talks are open for me personally, but the president of our division makes multiple trips a year to our partners. Our other members, including our engineering manager, makes annual, if not more, trips
okay.
for not just supporting a customer project, but for actually training. We
Mm.
actually provide training on our particular processes so that they get
Ah,
better and more efficient
and
on
you're
what
in
we're
sync.
expecting.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. We're believers in training. We believe everybody should go through training. I do come from an ex-training outfit, RJG,
Yep.
and I encourage every customer I have to go through some form of training. And we do that with our partners as well. And I mean, our partners in Vietnam are master molder certified, so they can speak the
Got it.
language that we're speaking and that our customers are speaking. So it's certainly helpful to be intimate like that with them and have
Relationship. Yep.
open door,
Yep.
right?
I have to ask, what is the most interesting project you have worked on so far?
Interesting project.
Yeah. Challenging, interesting.
Well, we just recently completed a 4+4 family tool, a left and a right hand component, an acetal part that was the shape of a W. So I used to
Hmm.
constantly
Okay.
joke, I'm like, well, I think we know what it's going to do. It's going to warp. It's a W. And naturally, yeah, it does warp. So we have, you have to run multiple simulations. You have to try various um, ways of filling a tool, different ways of designing the tool. And you're always at the limitation as well as like where it has to live and the press it has to live into. In those environments that sometimes throw a wrench in the whole mix. And so
Mhm.
what I found out is um, our customer and our team was very disciplined to go through what was needed to develop a robust process to get the dimensions where they need to be that still satisfied, you know, their customer
Hmm.
cycle times and dimensions. And we were able to successfully get the tool quickly launched. But it was a difficult tool, but we were very successful at having appropriate dimensions and transferring it to the US based machine quickly.
There you
Um,
go.
and that really highlighted that even when you have very complex parts, very difficult parts, that this approach can be done. It can be done accurately.
Yeah.
And so that to me was a good uh, lesson learned, which also fed to my, it's not as risky as it may have been told to me in my past life.
Exactly. That's a good example. All right. So if you look down or you look out to the future, there's a lot of conversations about how the mold making industry is changing and how the role of that mold builder has changed and continues to change. So how do you define the mold builder of the future when you're looking at what that person will be doing, the qualities that will be requirements of that person? What's your opinion on that?
The mold maker of the future, I do believe, will be very in tune with efficiencies and getting those tools done as fast as possible. Obviously, as accurate as possible, but that means technology, AI, I also do believe that, um, from what I kind of see is personally is that there's a very intimate relationship. And so if you're a custom mold builder, you're not necessarily serving 100 customers,
Hmm.
right? You're going to be extremely intimate with a smaller group, which increases efficiencies, but it
Hmm.
also, in my opinion, opens you up for potential hardship if market changes happen to your
True.
key customers and things of that nature. So I would like to see mold builders that are able to absorb market shifts and diversify, and be efficient. Um, and that's about as far as I can go with my assessment,
Hmm. Yeah.
because um, I don't run the mold making shop, right? So I don't spend a lot of my time looking for the efficiency gains within the machining of a tool.
Got it.
That's not really I have experts on my team that do that,
Right.
right? And so I'm just giving you, for my sales and business development and being part of the industry, what I think we see is, a continued intimacy, but hopefully a change where you can serve more customers, diversify out of one certain area, and, hopefully add more young people and women to your
Agreed.
organization.
Last but not least, I know you own a motorcycle, you ride a motorcycle, right? And you
Oh
and you
yes, yeah.
and you take, it seems like, I think you said you take a lot of vacations and you've done that. So give me a good memory. I mean, when was it? Four
Well,
daughters. When was the last time you did that?
obviously my daughters don't ride with me, but
A little sidecar.
they have, my oldest is a freshman in high school, and
Okay.
she has brought up that she's interested.
Ooh,
I haven't quite gone that far yet, but I've been riding motorcycles since I was 13 years old,
wow.
and so it's in part of who I am. I love riding. Uh, I did recently, earlier this summer, make a trip to Athens, Ohio, and the city did a great job of marketing what they call the Windy Nine, which is 9 independent motorcycle tours starting and stopping in Athens, Ohio.
Oh,
And that's through the Hocking Hills or Wayne National Forest, and there's rivers and there's
oh,
creeks.
cool.
It's very beautiful, very technical roadways. And I recently did Pioneers Pass, which is over 100 miles and 350 plus turns, and it's just beautiful countryside. And that's, uh, it's very it's very relaxing.
Oh, is it? It is
and
very
and
relaxing.
yeah, and it 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 allows me to have a sense of focus that I don't typically get to experience in a daily work with the family, the work, the travel. There's no better focus than riding a motorcycle through some
Interesting.
twisty roads. So if anybody does listens to this and knows the area, yeah, reach out. We can
Check it
talk
out.
motorcycles and maybe ride.
I love
And
that.
I get to experience it with some of my closest customers as well. So when you
Oh,
find somebody that likes plastics and tools and motorcycling, it's quite
what's
a
that? The
good friendship.
trifecta? Yeah, that's great. All right. Well,
Yeah,
on that
yeah.
note, Adam, thank you for the conversation and giving us a little insight into who you are, behind your role at DTI. So thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you, Christina.
All right. And for everybody viewing and watching this, for everything mold making, visit moldmakingtechnology.com and stay informed and stay inspired.